Hello, I am Dr. Sigar Kanti. In this video, we define vector space and some examples. So, before going to the definition of a vector space, let us recall the definition of group, ring, types of the rings. Okay. So, here, let G be a non-empty set. G be a non-empty set together with an operation, say star. Then G is called or defined a group if some axioms are satisfied. That is, first axiom is closure law. Closure law. So that is here closure law is A comma B belongs to G implies that A star B, or just we write A B belongs to G. This is true for all A B belongs to G. This is known as the closure law. This must be satisfied in G. And second axiom is associative law. Associative law is for all A, B, C in G, A star of B star C equal to A star of A star B star C. Okay. So that is here I am not writing the operation means that operation is there. Just we write A into BC equal to AB into C. This is known as associative law. This must be satisfied in G. Third one, identity axiom. Identity axiom is there exists an element denoted by say E in G. Usually we denote this element by E, and is such that AE equal to EA equal to A. This is true for all A belongs to G. So this E is known as the identity element. For example, with respect to addition, 0 is the identity element because A plus 0 equal to 0 plus A equal to A. And with respect to multiplication, 1 is the identity element. That A into 1 equal to 1 into A is equal to A. Okay. And fourth one, inverse axiom. Inverse axiom is for all A belongs to G, there exists an element, say, let me denote this by A power of minus 1, such that A power minus 1 equal to A power of minus 1 into A, E is equal to E. Because this A power of minus 1 has the inverse of A. And A power of minus 1 means the corresponding element. For example, if our operation is plus, then A power of minus 1 means it is equal to minus A. And if our operation is multiplication, then A power of minus 1, that inverse of A is 1 by A, because A into 1 by A equal to 1 by A into A is equal to 1. 1 is the identity element with respect to multiplication. And 0 is the identity element with respect to addition. Therefore, inverse of A is minus A, because A plus minus A equal to minus A plus A is equal to 0. I am getting the identity element. If these four axioms are satisfied, then you say that G is a group with respect to the operation star. And in addition, if commutative law also holds, that is commutative law. Commutative law is for all AB belongs to G, then AB must be equal to BA. This is known as the commutative law. If this condition also holds, then you say that G is abelian. G is abelian group. So that is here. G is said to be abelian if it satisfies 5 axioms. First one is closure law, second one is associative law, third one identity element must be there, fourth one inverse of each element must be there, fifth one the commutative law holds. Then we say that G is abelian group. Okay, this is the definition of group. Next I will go for rings. Definition of a ring. So here in group we have only one operation star. Okay, some operation star. Here in ring what we do is we consider two operations. One is a non-empty set and we consider two operations. Okay, so that is here a non-empty set are with two operations plus. We call this as the addition. Okay, addition and dot. We call this as the multiplication. Then r comma plus comma dot. The notation we write like this: r comma plus comma dot. And for a group, usually we write like this in pairwise: g comma star. That is star is the binary operation. So here we have two operations are there. Plus is operation defined on R, dot is operation defined on R. Then we say that this set together with these two operations is a ring. Is a ring if some axioms are satisfied. First one is R comma plus is an abelian group. This must be abelian group. That is here. All the 5 axioms are satisfied in R with respect to addition. That is closure law. A comma B, closure law A comma B belongs to R implies that A plus B also belongs to R. So this is our closure law. Second one, associative. Associative law must be satisfied. So that is here. A plus of B plus C is equal to A plus B plus C. This is true for all A, B, C belongs to R. This must be satisfied. Here, let B here. Next, identity. There exists an element. So here we have two operations are there. Instead of taking E, I will write this identity by like this 0. Okay, 0 is the identity element called 0 of R. Called 0 of R. And is such that A plus 0 equal to 0 plus A is equal to A. This is true for all A belongs to R. That is, instead of writing E, I am writing this as 0. That is, identity element with respect to addition is denoted by 0. Okay. So this element must be there. And next one, inverse. Inverse axiom. So that is here. For all A belongs to R, there exists an element. We denote this by minus A. That instead of writing A power of minus 1, we write minus A. And is such that A plus of minus A equal to minus A plus A equal to corresponding identity element. That is 0. So we call this minus A as the inverse of A with respect to addition. Okay. And E, commutative law. So that is here. For all A, B belongs to R, A plus B must be equal to B plus A. That is, commutative law holds for all the elements belongs to R. That is here. R comma plus is an abelian group. R is an abelian group with respect to addition. This is the first axiom. And the second axiom is second axiom for a ring is second one is associative law. Associative law. This is with respect to multiplication, because associative law with respect to addition is already satisfied because R is a group with respect to addition, right? Associative law is for all A, B, C belongs to R, A dot of B dot C equal to A dot B dot C, or simply we write this as A into BC equal to AB into C. Okay, this is the associative law. And third one, distributive laws. Distributive laws. So here the first operation, first axiom is related with only addition here. Okay, with respect to addition, R is a abelian group. This is the first axiom. And in the second axiom, it is associative law. So only with respect to multiplication. So this is related with only the second operation dot. And third axiom is the mixture of these two operations. That is, we combine these two operations dot and plus. So that is here. For all A, B, C belongs to R, A into B plus C, that is A dot of B plus C. This is equal to AB plus AC. This is known as left distributive law. Okay, left distributive law. And A plus B dot C into C is equal to AC plus BC. This is known as right distributive law. Okay, these two laws must be satisfied here. So that is here. First one is R comma plus is an abelian group. Second one, associative law holds with respect to multiplication. Third one, both the distributive laws are satisfied. That is left distributive law and the right distributive law. Here the element A is to the left here, and here the element C is to the right here. This is known as left distributive law, and this is known as the right distributive law. If these three axioms are satisfied, then we say that R comma plus comma dot is a ring. Okay. Now, here in a ring with respect to multiplication, the definition does not include the identity element with respect to multiplication. Okay, so we are not included here. That means here there may not be the identity element with respect to multiplication. In a ring, there may not be identity element with respect to multiplication. If there is an identity element with respect to multiplication, then we denote that element by 1. Okay, so identity with respect to multiplication, we denote this by 1 and we call that as the unity of the ring. So that is here, if identity element exists with respect to dot, that is multiplication, then it is denoted by 1. Okay, and is called unity of the ring R. And the ring R is called R is a ring with unity. Okay, this is a special type of the ring. In addition to all these three axioms, if identity also there in R, then we say that it is a ring with unity, and that identity with respect to multiplication, we denote this by 1, and we call this as the unity of the ring R. Okay, this is special type of the ring. And here in the definition, the commutative law with respect to multiplication need not hold. Okay, so that it is not included in the definition. If suppose commutative law holds with respect to multiplication in R, then we call R as a commutative ring. Okay, so that is here. If commutative law law commutative law holds with respect to multiplication that is AB equal to BA for all A, B belongs to R, then R is called a commutative ring. Okay. Otherwise, it's just a ring. Commutative ring means commutative law with respect to multiplication is satisfied. Ring with unity means there must be identity element with respect to multiplication, and we denote this by 1 and we call that one as unity of the ring. These are all special type of the rings. Now here in a ring, inverse with respect to multiplication need not be there. Okay, inverse of each element with respect to multiplication need not be there. It is not included in the definition. Suppose an element A has the inverse with respect to multiplication. Then you say that that element is invertible. That is inverse of an element with respect to multiplication exists. Then you say that that element is invertible. So that is if the inverse of A with respect to multiplication exists, then we denote this by a power of minus 1. Okay, inverse with respect to addition is denoted by minus a. Okay, inverse with respect to multiplication we denote this by a power of minus 1, and we say that A is invertible. Okay, so there need not be the inverse of each element there. If inverse is there of some element, then we say that that element is invertible. Okay. Now, one more thing here. Usually what happens is, if A is not equal to 0, B is also not equal to 0. Go to next page. If A is not equal to 0 and B is not equal to 0, usually we get AB is also not equal to 0. Or sometimes, so this we know usually, if with respect to our usual multiplication, if A is not equal to 0, B is not equal to 0, then A into B is also not equal to 0. Sometimes what happens is, A is not equal to 0, B is also not equal to 0. This implies AB equal to 0 in some cases. That is, if the operations are different, then this may happen sometime. For example, we have, say R is the set consisting of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and my operation is the multiplication modulo 6. Here, with respect to multiplication modulo 6, 0 is the 0. Okay, 0 element. We say that this is equal to 0. And here if I consider 2 is not equal to 0. Okay. 0 means it is the identity with respect to addition. Here with respect to addition is addition modulus 6. Okay. With respect to addition modulus 6, 0 is the 0 of this set R. Now here 2 is not equal to 0. 2 is not equal to 0. 3 is also not equal to 0. But what about this one? 2 cross 6, 3. This is equal to, I am getting this is equal to 0 because 2 into 3 equal to 6. 6 divided by 6. What is the remainder I am getting? It is equal to 0 now. So A not equal to 0, B not equal to 0. But we are getting AB equal to 0. Then we say that 2 and 3 are 0 divisors. Okay. 0 divisors. 2 and 3 are known as 0 divisors. So that is here. A ring may have 0 divisors. A ring may not have 0 divisors. So that is here. A not equal to 0, B not equal to 0 implies AB is also not equal to 0. Means we say that no 0 divisors. For all AB, A not equal to 0, B not equal to 0. If AB is also not equal to 0, then we say that neither A is a 0 divisor nor B is a 0 divisor. That means ring is without 0 divisors. Or we write this as, like this also we can write AB equal to 0 implies that A equal to 0 or B equal to 0. So these two are equivalent here. AB equal to 0 must imply A equal to 0 or B equal to 0. Then we say that here is no 0 divisors. That is to prove a ring is without 0 divisors. I can prove like this also. I will consider A not equal to 0, B not equal to 0. Then I will prove that AB is also not equal to 0. Or we consider AB equal to 0. Then we prove that either A equal to 0 or B equal to 0. This is we say that no, without 0 divisors. That is R may have 0 divisors, R may not have 0 divisors. So here we go for another definition. That definition is known as integral domain. Integral domain. Integral domain is nothing but a ring. It is a special type of the ring. So what is an integral domain? It is a commutative ring with unity without 0 divisors. That is, these are the three additional properties. These are the three additional properties to the ring. That is, first of all, it is a ring. Next one is it must have unity. One is there. Identity with respect to multiplication is there. Unity is there. And commutative law holds in the ring. This is the second condition. And if the R is without 0 divisors, if these three additional conditions are satisfied, then we say that it is an integral domain. That is, we define here a ring, or we write like this, a commutative ring. Commutative ring with unity without 0 divisors. Without 0 divisors is called integral domain. Okay. So what is an integral domain? First of all, it is a ring. It is a commutative ring. It is with unity, and this has no 0 divisors. Then we say that it is an integral domain. So this is a special type of the ring. And next we define one more special type of the ring, that is a field. Okay. A field is also a ring. It is a special type of the ring. That is, it is a commutative ring. It is also with unity, and every non-zero element is invertible. So that is, suppose A is not equal to 0, then A inverse with respect to multiplication is there. Right? This is known as a field. That is here. A commutative ring a commutative ring with unity where every non-zero element is invertible is called a field. Okay, this is the field definition. So a field is nothing but a ring. It is a special type of the ring. What are the additional conditions, properties? One, it is a commutative ring. Second one, unity is there in the ring. And third one, every non-zero element is invertible. That is, A belongs to R, and if A is not equal to 0, then its inverse with respect to multiplication exists. Okay. Then what is the difference between integral domain and the field? First of all, both are rings. Okay. Second one, both are commutative rings. Third one, both are with unity. Fourth one, they differ only in the fourth property. So integral domain without zero divisors. Field is every non-zero element is invertible. And in the previous semester, we have proved that every field is an integral domain. Okay. So if F is a field, then definitely it is an integral domain. But the converse need not be true. That is, every integral domain need not be a field. But some integral domains are there which are fields. That is, a finite integral domain is a field. That result also we have proved in the previous semester. Okay. So we are concerned with this one, field. What is a field? It is a ring. It is a commutative ring. It is with unity, and every non-zero element is invertible. So this is known as a field. After getting the idea of the field, now we go for the definition of a vector space. Okay. So here, to define a vector space, we need a field. Without a field, we cannot define a vector space. So how we define the vector space? Definition of a vector space is, let F be a field. Okay, F be a field, and V be a non-empty set. Okay, there is no relation between the field and F and V. F is a field, V is any other set. V is any non-empty set. Okay. Now in V, there are defined two operations plus and dot. How we define? Plus is the vector addition. We call vector addition, and dot, this is the scalar multiplication. Okay, and we define two operations. That is, one is plus, another one is dot. Plus is called the vector addition, and a dot is called the scalar multiplication. Here we call the elements of F are called scalars, and elements of V are called vectors. Okay. Now here addition and the scalar multiplication, how we define is, alpha comma beta belongs to V. This implies alpha plus beta also belongs to V. Right. So this is the addition. So in V, we define two operations. One is plus and another is dot. Plus is defined between the two elements of V. Okay. Plus is defined two elements of V. And an element C belongs to F, alpha belongs to V, then we define C into alpha, this also belongs to V. So that is, if alpha and beta are any two elements of V, then alpha plus beta belongs to V. And next, if C is an element of F, alpha is an element of V, then C into alpha is an element of V. This is known as the vector addition and this is known as the scalar multiplication. Okay. So that means here, multiplication of alpha and beta is not defined here. Only addition between two elements of V is defined. Alpha plus beta is defined. Alpha into beta is not defined. C into alpha is defined. C is an element of F and alpha is an element of V. Okay. These are the two operations here. We define in V. So with these operations, we say that V is called a vector space over the field F if some axioms are satisfied. Some axioms are satisfied. What are those axioms? First axiom is V comma plus is an abelian group. Okay. So that is V is an abelian group with respect to addition. So that is here. Closure law is satisfied in V. Associative law holds in V. Identity is there in V. Inverse is there in V with respect to addition. And the commutative law holds in V. So that is, those are, if alpha and beta are any two elements of V, then this implies alpha plus beta must be an element of V. Second one, alpha, beta, gamma are the elements of V, then alpha plus of beta plus gamma is equal to alpha plus beta plus gamma. So this is true for all alpha, beta, gamma belongs to V. And the third one is the identity. That is here, there is an element 0 belongs to V. Okay. Whatever may be that element, we denote that element by 0 and we call this as the 0 vector, such that alpha plus 0 equal to 0 plus alpha, this is equal to alpha. This is true for all alpha belongs to V. That means 0 is the identity element with respect to addition. This must be satisfied. And D, inverse. That is here, for all alpha belongs to V implies there exists an element minus alpha also belongs to V. That is, this is the inverse with respect to addition, such that alpha plus of minus alpha equal to minus alpha plus alpha is equal to the 0 vector. This is D. And what is E? E is the commutative law with respect to addition. That is commutative law. That is here, for all alpha, beta belongs to V, alpha plus beta must be equal to beta plus alpha. All these 5 axioms are satisfied. V comma plus is an abelian group. This is the first axiom. This means all these 5 are satisfied. Next, what is the second axiom? Second axiom is associative law. So associative law is, for all C1, C2 belongs to F and for all alpha belongs to V, C1 into C2 alpha is equal to C1 C2 into alpha. This is known as associative law. So while considering associative law, I have taken C1 and C2 in F, alpha in V. That is two elements from F, one element from V. What happens if I consider C belongs to F, alpha beta belongs to V? Can I write like this? C into alpha beta equal to C alpha into beta. Can I write? No. This is not possible here. Why? Because alpha into beta is not defined. Okay. Alpha belongs to B, beta belongs to B. In between these two only plus C is defined. Dot multiplication is not defined here. Therefore here this is the associative law. For associative law, two elements from F and one element from V. See here C1 C2 is defined because C1 C2 belongs to F means F is a field. So in field C1 into C2 is defined. And here C2 alpha, this also defined here because this is nothing but the scalar multiplication. We have defined this. An element belongs to F and an element belongs to alpha. Their multiplication is defined. So this is known as the associative law. This must be satisfied. And what is the third axiom? Third axiom is distributive laws. Distributive laws. Here also both left distributive and right distributive. So here I take left distributive law is C into alpha plus beta equal to C alpha plus C into beta. This is known as the left distributive law. Is this defined here alpha plus beta? Yes. This is true for C belongs to F, alpha beta belongs to B. Okay. So alpha plus beta is defined now? Yes. This belongs to B. C into C belongs to F, an element of F, and this is an element of B. So left hand side is defined. What is the right hand side? C is an element of F, alpha is an element of V, therefore C into alpha is defined. Here also, C is an element of F, beta is an element of V, therefore C beta is defined. So this is an element of V, this is also an element of V. And their addition again an element of V. That is also defined. This is known as the left distributive law. And what is the right distributive law? Right distributive law is C1 plus C2 into alpha is equal to C1 alpha plus C2 into alpha. Okay. So here C1, C2 belongs to F. Here C1, C2 belongs to F and alpha is an element of V. So C1 and C2 belongs to F means C1 plus C2. Between two elements of F, both are defined. Addition and multiplication both are defined. But when the elements are from V, only one is defined. That is plus C is defined. Okay, this is defined. This is an element of F. An element of F into an element of V. So left hand side is defined. And right hand side, this is an element of F. This is an element of V. Therefore, this is an element of V. This is an element of F, this is an element of V. Therefore, this is also an element of V. And addition of two elements of V is again an element of V. So this plus is defined between these two. This is known as the left distributive law and this is known as the right distributive law. Okay. For the left distributive law, we take C from scalar is here and these two are vector quantities. And here for right distributive law, C1 plus C2, these are the elements of F scalars and this is the vector, an element of V. So this must be satisfied. Both the distributive laws must be satisfied. And fourth one, 1 into alpha is equal to alpha. What is 1 here? 1 is an element belongs to F. That is here, this is unity of F. 1 is the unity of F here. This is the element belongs to F. 1 into alpha is equal to alpha. So these are the four axioms here. That is first axiom is, see here how we define F be a field and V is a non-empty set. In V we define two operations plus and dot. Plus is the plus is known as the vector addition, dot is known as the scalar multiplication, and the elements of F are known called as scalars. Elements of V are called as the vectors, and the addition of two vectors is defined here. Alpha and beta belong to V, then this is defined. Alpha plus beta belong to V, defined. And the C is an element belongs to F, alpha is an element belongs to V, then their multiplication C into alpha, we call this as the scalar multiplication is defined, and this is an element of V. So addition of two vectors is defined and scalar multiplication is defined in V. These are the two operations defined in V. Then we call this V is a vector space over F if first axiom is V comma plus is an abelian group. This is the first axiom. And the second axiom is associative law with respect to multiplication is satisfied. Here we take two elements from F, one element from V, that is C1 into C2 alpha equal to C1 C2 into alpha. This is the second axiom. Third axiom, both the distributive laws are satisfied, left distributive law as well as the right distributive law. These two laws must be satisfied. And fourth one, 1 into alpha equal to alpha. What is this one? 1 is the unity of the field F. If these four axioms are satisfied, then we say that V is a vector space over F. So then we say that V is a vector space over F. And we denote like this. Notation is V bracket F, that is here. V is a vector space over the field F. Okay, this is the definition of vector space. Okay, thank you. I'll stop here.